Hello and welcome to the channel. My name is the Steakbake or Stakey or James, whatever you want to call me, and this is my first video on this channel, so I hope you enjoy it. So in this video we're going to be talking about the 26-man squad that Gareth Southgate has selected for Euro 2020/2021, which starts in just a couple of weeks' time. Initially he had a 33-man squad, he's now cut it down to a 26-man squad, and today we're going to give my opinions on whether the players he's taken are the right ones, whether the players in the original 33 were the right ones, and whether he's got the selections right as England manager. Once we've done that, we will then put Gareth Southgate's team into a lineup. So who do I think should be starting in the opening games at Euro 2020? First game is against Croatia. Big game. We want our best squad out. Who is that? And that will come after we've talked about whether he's made the right selections in the first place. Now, quick disclaimer, these are just my opinions, but I welcome all of your opinions in the comments below. Comment what your team would be, whether you think I'm right or wrong, whether you think Gareth Southgate was right or wrong, who did he leave out from your team, because there were some big names that he left out. 4 right backs, we'll get on to that. But yeah, there is a couple of controversial views in this video, so bear with me. I'll try and remain as unbiased as possible. I think I've got the balance just about right of controversial to obvious to a little bit out there. So I hope you enjoy the video. Let's get on with it. First up, we're going to go through the goalkeepers. Now, every squad must take 3 goalkeepers, and initially in Gareth Southgate's we had 4, so he has trimmed one off, and I think I would do exactly the same as Gareth. So, first up, it's Jordan Pickford of Everton. Now, first choice in Russia, all-important penalty save against Colombia in England's first win in a penalty shootout for God knows how long, and Gareth Southgate, of all people, knows the pain of losing a penalty shootout. We don't want any of that again, so perhaps Pickford's an excellent choice. I personally think he's got a mistake in him. I think Everton probably would have finished slightly higher in the table had he not been their goalkeeper this season, had they had someone like Henderson. Obviously they're not going to because they're Everton, but someone who was able to keep as many clean sheets as Henderson and Pope and people like that. However, I think Pickford definitely makes my team. I think he's too good to leave out, and he's a big voice in the dressing room that I do think England need. However, whether I'll start him or not, I don't know. Then we have Dean Henderson. Now, kind of a rotation option in Manchester United's squad this season. He came in and replaced De Gea when he was injured, and then kept De Gea out of the side for a bit. Looked like he was pushing on, and then they ended up going with De Gea for the latter part of the season and playing him in the Europa League, and we all know how that turned out. De Gea saved 0 penalties out of 10 and then missed the one that made them lose, so perhaps Dean Henderson should have played, but that's not what we're talking about today. Dean Henderson, I think he's been really good for Man United this year when they have managed to get him a couple of games in the team, stringing along game after game. I think he's been excellent, and I think he gives something that Pickford perhaps doesn't. He's not got quite as many mistakes in him, touch wood, but I do think he is still young, he's still learning. I think he's going to be a fantastic goalkeeper, and I would definitely agree with Gareth and bring him on the plane to Euro 2020. Now, the last keeper position has gone to Johnston from West Brom. It was him or Ramsdale. Neither are really good enough to get into the England team, in my opinion. I think they're both kind of average goalkeepers at best, and I think if Nick Pope had been there, they wouldn't have even been anywhere near the conversation. But of course, Pope is out injured and can't play in this Euros, so that is Ramsdale or it's Johnston, and Johnston is the man who has got the nod from Gareth Southgate. I think it didn't really matter here. They're not going to get any game time unless the final group game is, you know, we've already won the group, which is unlikely when we've got teams like Croatia in our group and Scotland, who always try harder against England. So we will see. Maybe you could have included a fun option in there. Send in Ben Foster from Watford, recall him out of retirement, get the GoPro in the goal. The cycling goalkeeper, let's get him in there.
Hello everybody, I'm Ben Foster, the cycling GK. It's Friday, yeah, Saturday, Sunday.
Broadens up the dressing room, gives an extra dynamic, and I'd love to see the behind the scenes footage of an England camp getting ready to play in a tournament. The nerves, the excitement, the team energy, whether they're all getting along. Of course, a couple of the players have just come up against each other in the Champions League final. Are they getting on in the camp? It'd be really good to see, and I think Ben Foster could actually give that view. You know what? I'm going to put Ben Foster down as my controversial option for goalkeeper, because I don't think third choice goalkeeper really matters here, does it? On to defenders now, and we start with the controversial right-back position. Now, there are 4 right-backs that Gareth Southgate has taken into his 26. He chose 4 in the 33-man squad, and he's taken all 4 of them into the 26-man squad. So, the 4 options are Kyle Walker, he's just won the Premier League with Manchester City. Kieran Trippier, he's just won La Liga with Atletico Madrid. Reece James, he's just won the Champions League with Chelsea, and Trent Alexander-Arnold, who were Premier League champions last year. So there's some real pedigree in this right-back position. A few people thought he would leave out Trent Alexander-Arnold, and that's who we're going to talk about first. A few months ago, he was left out of the England squad. Gareth Southgate said he wasn't playing well enough, and he wanted to get him to play better. And what's happened since? Trent has brought out his form that he had last season. He's looked back to the right back that we all thought was world class, that we were really excited to see, and he's been playing like that in a Liverpool shirt yet again. And now he is undroppable from this plane, in my opinion. He might not get the game time that perhaps he would have done when we were playing a 3-back formation and he was moving on to the right-hand side of midfield, the right wing-back position. He might not get as much game time now that we're playing 2 at the back. However, he is definitely going to need to be on that plane in case we have to revert to that system. So I agree with Gareth Southgate here. You can't leave out Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now we're on to Kyle Walker, Manchester City right back. Of course, they got to the Champions League final this year. They won the Premier League this year. They've had an excellent year. They won the Carabao Cup as well. They've had a really good year, and Kyle Walker has been a big part of that side, interchanging with him and João Cancelo. He's played 42 games for City in all competitions this year, plenty enough to be in the England team. He looked really good in the Champions League final in particular. He was probably City's bright spark, especially once De Bruyne had gone off. So I don't think you can not have Kyle Walker in the team. And he brings that little bit of extra pace that you wouldn't normally get. And if you bring him into a 3-back and you put him in the right side of centre-back, he's got that extra pace. You can see him whiz past strikers, catch them up, make the tackle, and then sort out any problems that England have there. Kyle Walker, 100% in my team. Now we talk about Kieran Trippier. Now, a lot of people didn't have Kieran Trippier going in their team. I disagree, and I agree with Gareth. I think Kieran Trippier has to go. He won the league in La Liga this season, perhaps not necessarily because Atletico were good, probably more that Los Blancos, Real Madrid and Barcelona were bad, but that doesn't take away from the fact that they were consistent enough all season to win the league, and Atletico Madrid are champions with Kieran Trippier at that right-back role for most of the season. He also brings set pieces. Set pieces are something that England seem to have experimented with in the past. He was in the team in Russia in 2018, and yet Harry Kane was taking corners and some free kicks, although Kieran Trippier did score that incredible free kick, that limbs moment that we all had in the semi-finals against Croatia. Maybe he can do it against Croatia again in the first game. Who knows? So Kieran Trippier is definitely in my team, and he can also play left-back as well, so if we do need cover for the 2 left-backs, which I'll talk about in a minute, then Kieran Trippier is your guy. He can play there, he can come in, do some sub-appearances, do a good job. I think he's definitely got to be in the team. So that means my final pick on whether I agree with Gareth on taking 4 right-backs or not relies on Reece James. Now, originally, I had Reece James to miss out. I thought he was good. I just didn't think he was good enough compared to the other 3 that we've discussed. Certainly, Walker and Trent Alexander-Arnold were more in my mind than he was. However, having seen him in a Chelsea shirt this season, having seen him play in the Champions League final where, quite frankly, he was one of the best players on the pitch. I mean, Chelsea put in a great performance, but he really stood out to me. I think only Kante, Mount and Havertz really had a better game than he did. There was a brief moment right at the start when Sterling bombed past him, and he caught up and just about managed to get a foot in so that Sterling couldn't make the tackle, and he kept up with Sterling for the rest of the game. And I just think you can't drop Reece James. So I'm going to agree with Gareth Southgate. I'm going to say we should be taking all 4 right backs to Euro 2020. What I will say is a real shame that Wan-Bissaka misses out here. I think defensively, of the four that we've chosen and Wan-Bissaka, I think he's the best defender out of all of them. I think he's an excellent tackler, and there have been world-class wingers that he has had in his pocket this season. However, I just don't think he's got quite as much going forward as the others, and Gareth Southgate seems to be the type of manager to want attacking football, and I just don't think Aaron Wan-Bissaka is going to get a sniff at that team, which is a real shame because I really like him. However, he's not really in the conversation, certainly not until Kyle Walker and Kieran Trippier retire, and then he'll probably come in as a third choice to challenge Trent. But right now, unfortunately, Aaron Wan-Bissaka is going to miss out on both Gareth Southgate's and my team. Now, on to the centre-backs now, and Gareth Southgate's had a bit of a tough time with this one because there are two really obvious choices which are straight in your team, and then everyone else just doesn't really seem to get up to the benchmark that the first two have. So let's talk about the first two first, because they're everyone's team, they're in everyone's starting lineup. No one's disagreeing with these. Harry Maguire and John Stones. Harry Maguire is likely to retain England captaincy, I imagine, at least in the vice-captaincy form, although Henderson and Kane have been selected, but we'll get onto that later. And John Stones for Man City this season has been brilliant. He has been carried a little bit by Diaz, but I do think that John Stones has really come on leaps and bounds this season with a confident player next to him, and Maguire is a confident player as well, and he can maraud forward and make those surging runs, and I really think that those two centre-backs need to play every single minute for England in Euro 2021. So, there were four other centre-backs in Gareth Southgate's 33. He's removed two of them and kept two of them. Has he kept the right two? Has he got rid of the wrong player? Let's get on to that right now. So, Gareth Southgate has got rid of the two Ben youngsters, Ben White and Ben Godfrey. Now, Ben Godfrey has had an excellent season for Everton in his real maiden season to get a first choice name on the team sheet. I think he has been absolutely brilliant, and one of the reasons why Everton have kept quite a decent number of clean sheets this season compared to what they would have if it was just Jordan Pickford between the sticks and someone, less reliable at centre-back. I think he provides support in right-back, left-back, centre-back, right-sided and left-sided of centre-back. I think he can play all those positions. And I actually think that Ben Godfrey has been really unlucky to miss out on a position. I understand Ben White here. I get why he has been left out. It's a shame, but he's a youngster. I'm sure he'll be involved in the England team in years to come, but right now it's not his time. So, Connor Cody and Tyrone Mings are the two players that Gareth Southgate has selected as centre-back backup for England. And do I think he's made the right choice? No, I don't. I don't think he should be taking either of them. Tyrone Mings is average at best. I think he's all right for Aston Villa. Aston Villa had a really good start to the season. They looked like they were going to surge for those extra European places that were up for grabs this season, with other teams failing around them. Where West Ham have pushed to, where Leicester have pushed to this season. It looked like Villa were going to be challenging for those places, and they've ended up in mid-table mediocrity. And I don't think that Tyrone Mings is the type of player that England need in their centre-back position. I think if Harry Maguire is one of the players that he could be injured, and he might not play as much time as he needs to play for England in Euro 2020, I don't think that Tyrone Mings is the player that you want to slot in that position. I don't think that Tyrone Mings is the player that you want to slot into left centre-back either in a 3. So, therefore, for that reason, I disagree. I would put Ben Godfrey in, and my final pick is a player who has been completely overlooked by Gareth Southgate in his entire 33-man squad. If it was me as manager, I would be taking Fikayo Tomori of Chelsea and of AC Milan. He's been on loan at AC Milan this season, and a lot of Milan fans will tell you that he has been absolutely brilliant. He looked like he was just creeping into the Chelsea squad at the turn of the season last year, just before the whole pandemic-y thing started, and then it's not really come about. He's ended up going on loan. I personally probably would have loaned out Christensen or Zuma and kept Tomori close to the team, kept him playing because I think he's a real talent. He's only 23 years old. He's got loads of pace on him. He can put in a really good tackle. And I think he is the person that you need near this England team. Because if we move to the 3-back formation, which is the only reason why you'd be playing another centre-back other than Maguire or Stones, then I think you need a left-sided centre-back that can play left-sided centre-back. And I think Tomori is that player. He's done it for Chelsea. He's definitely going to be doing it for England in the future, I believe. Fikayo Tomori is my pick for the final choice of centre-back in that position instead of Tyrone Mings, instead of Conor Coady. I feel bad for Conor Coady because he is a good player. It's just Wolves have had a really muted season. They've not really done anything. They've not kept that many clean sheets. And I think, I'm not blaming Conor Coady. I think they've had a really tough year. But had this been last year and actually in 2020, I think he would have made it because Wolves had a really good year last season and he was a big part of it. This year, he's tailed off. Wolves have tailed off, and I just don't think he should be in the team over someone like Ben Godfrey, who's had an excellent year. Southgate disagrees with my choice of centre-backs. However, we both agree on who should be left-back for England this summer. There's Luke Shaw and there's Ben Chilwell. There's no arguments here. They've both been fantastic all season. They're both very similarly good players. They're both on the same kind of level. I think either of them could play left-back this summer. I think they'll probably switch and change between the games to give them resting opportunities because we have genuine quality in that position for once. Not since maybe Ashley Cole have we had that kind of quality in that position for a while. So having Shaw and Chilwell, huge bonus for me. Chilwell, of course, has just won the Champions League. He was fantastic in the final. He was Chelsea's standout player in the FA Cup final as well. Got the goal, although it was offside. So I think he's probably going to edge the position over Shaw from Gareth Southgate's point of view. I think he's a slightly more down the wing. He'll get into the box. He'll have shots for you, whereas Luke Shaw's definitely going to be more of an assister, getting in and around the edge of the box, and then further back down the midfield to support the midfield. But both of them could play. Both of them are fantastic, and I'm a big fan of both, and I don't think there's any other option here. Good choice, Gareth. Midfield now, and there was a lot of controversial decisions in this position, especially from Gareth Southgate, from his 33-man squad and from his 26-man squad. So we'll get onto that in a minute. But firstly, we're going to start up with probably one of the least controversial names on the team sheet, apart from maybe Harry Kane and Harry Maguire. He's the first name on the team sheet. It's Declan Rice. Now, for West Ham this season, he has been nothing short of fantastic. Really has been wonderful to watch this season. The holding midfield player alongside Souček, who's been also ridiculously good. Those two together have been wonderful and in no short are a huge part of why West Ham next season are going to be playing European football over someone like Arsenal. So Declan Rice, 100% in the team. No arguments from me there. Gareth Southgate's got this one spot on. Declan Rice, first name on the team sheet. Gareth's then gone with Phillips as a backup from Leeds United. I think he's a solid backup. I don't think he'll play that much. I think he's more of one for the future, so he'll be gradually introduced into the team. He might get a few substitute minutes to give Rice a little bit of a rest. But I don't really trust him in the defensive midfield role on his own. So I think he'll be introduced while Rice is still on the pitch if he does. I think he's a solid choice. He's an easy choice. There's not really anyone else I can think of that would be an actual holding midfielder for England this year. So Phillips is a decent choice. Central midfield then, and Jude Bellingham is the first name I've got on the team sheet, and he's also on Gareth Southgate's team sheet as well. He's been nothing short of fantastic for Borussia Dortmund this season. He's 17, he'll be 18 during the tournament, like towards the end of the tournament. I think it's around the quarter-final, semi-final stage that he will be 18. Ridiculous talent for such a youngster and such a mature head as well. This guy's scoring goals and getting assists in Champions League knockout matches. He's got the maturity, he knows what he's doing. He's not necessarily a flair player. He's sensible, he's calm, he can pass, he can distribute, he can shoot. And I think that's what we need in a kind of central midfield role. Not a holding, not an attacking midfielder, just that normal central midfield position. And I think he's going to do the role perfectly. However, one of the mature heads in the team that I don't think should be in the squad that Gareth Southgate has picked is Jordan Henderson. I am going to leave him out of my team because he's barely played this season. He's made 7 appearances in the Premier League this season, and all 7 of them he's played centre-back. I know some of you are going to argue with this one because I understand he's a leader, he's a potential captain, he's captain of Liverpool, and I know that we need that in the dressing room. However, we also have huge names already in this England squad that are going to provide that. So we don't necessarily need it to come from Jordan Henderson. We're not losing all of our leadership just by leaving him out. We're getting it in other places. Harry Maguire is an excellent leader. He will be there. Harry Kane, who we'll talk about later, is also the maturest head in the entire team. He's calm, he's collected. He's a leader. He will tell you what to do. Harry Kane can fill that role perfectly. And then you've got other mature players like Marcus Rashford, Raheem Sterling, who they have a mature head on them as well. John Stones, potentially. There are other players in this team that can provide that kind of mature, calm leader. You know what I mean? That presence in the dressing room that he brings can be brought by other players. Even Jordan Pickford brings that kind of thing into the dressing room. I don't think you need to take Jordan Henderson just for that. If you want him just for that, hire him as a coach. Bring him as a coach for England this year. Get him in there, motivation coach. You know, England can make up that role, I'm sure. Unless there's some kind of rule against players becoming coaches while they're still players. There probably is. But if you need that, then that's maybe a solution. But I don't think you need him on the plane. I don't think Jordan Henderson should be taken to Euro 2020/2021. I don't think he should be there. And I think it's quite selfish that he is in there because he's taking a seat away from someone who might get game time, a youngster who might get a little bit of game time in that midfield. There's not many players playing in that position. There's only 4 or 5 that have been selected for these positions. Henderson is one of them, and I think he's stealing a place. And the person I think he's stealing a place from is James Ward-Prowse. Now, I am going to get a lot of stick for saying this because James Ward-Prowse plays for Southampton and I am a Portsmouth fan. But I cannot believe that Gareth Southgate has not taken JWP in his England squad. I can't believe it. I think he is a reliable centre mid. He's played captain for Southampton for a majority of the games this season. He's almost ever present. He's reliable. And most importantly, set pieces. He's so good at set pieces. A lot of people are calling him the best in Europe currently at set pieces. I can't deny them. That he's an excellent free kick taker. He can whip in a corner as well. I think we need him in the team just for that. And I potentially would be considering starting him. Certainly if Henderson's not playing, it's that second centre mid role is going to be either Bellingham, and I think it should be Bellingham or James Ward-Prowse. I think if you don't have Trippier in the squad, then you need someone like James Ward-Prowse to take everything, because we don't want Harry Kane on corners again, do we? That was a disaster. We don't want that. I'm really surprised James Ward-Prowse has missed out, and I think I'm pretty gutted for him, to be honest. I think he hopefully will get a chance when maybe Henderson retires, but then he's getting on a little bit now. I mean, he's not getting on. He's in his prime, isn't he, James Ward-Prowse? Perhaps he will get a chance in the future, but in my opinion, JWP should be in the team, and Hendo, you should be out. I also think in the 33, if I was picking the 33, I would have included Joe Willock, but I couldn't justify bringing him in for anyone into the team. I don't think he knocks James Ward-Prowse. I don't think he knocks Jude Bellingham. I don't think he knocks Hendo out of their position, and therefore I wouldn't be taking him in the 26. But Willock has ended the season with 7 goals in 7 games, which you can't sniff at. That's fantastic form. Form is something you need to take into a tournament. So perhaps it would have been a wise decision from Gareth Southgate to at least include him in the 33, get him playing for England, get him that game time, certainly in these warm-up games where half the team aren't even available due to rest after the Champions League. So get him in midfield. Now, me and Gareth have disagreed on the last couple. However, we both agree on this one, and I think the entire country agrees on this one. There was a time where a lot of people thought that Gareth Southgate was sucking up to him a little bit of a kiss ass to this player, and he was mentioning him all the time and overlooking other players to let him in the squad. But I think now people are realising that he is a world-class talent, and that man is the Portsmouth supporter himself, Mason Mount. Mount has been nothing short of fantastic for Chelsea this season. He's been absolutely brilliant. He provides assists. His passing is pinpoint. The assist he got in the Champions League final was beautiful, beautiful pass. And that is what we need in midfield. He can get forward as well. He gets pretty far forward. In fact, he's grabbed a few goals from that position this season. He gets into that little penalty area so that if you run into the edge of the 6-yard box, you cut it back. That's where Mason Mount's going to be, slotting in behind Harry Kane, behind the front three, just to finish off any tidbits and link it all together. And Mason Mount, I imagine, will play the majority of minutes for England at this tournament. He's been wonderful, and how could you not leave him out? I mean, I'm a little bit biased on this one because of his Portsmouth support, but I feel like you can't be biased with Mason Mount. He's definitely there. He's definitely going. I mean, he's basically the closest Portsmouth are ever going to come to winning the Champions League this season. Good on you, Mason. Get in there. You won it for us, yeah? Yeah? Okay. I'm sure you did. But basically, he's got to be there. I definitely think he's got to be part of it. Mason Mount. I agree with Gareth Southgate on this one. Mason Mount is my choice in this position. Now, if I name the same number of players that Gareth has in midfield, then unfortunately Jesse Lingard misses out for me here. But I don't think he does. I think I'm going to pull a player away from the attackers in order to get Jesse Lingard into this team. Because much like Joe Willock, his form in the second half of the season has been superb. He's a star in the West Ham squad. He's looked absolutely fantastic. And I think we have to take him at the very least. I want to take him just to show what he can do. He's a bit of a crazy talent that can just produce something out of nothing. He can produce that little spark, or he'll be completely dead and he won't even be in the game. And I think J-Lings should be on the plane. Now, forwards or attackers, because attacking midfielders and wingers are kind of grouped in with this bunch because we only play one striker, so there's only a couple of striker positions. So attacker means anyone involved in an attack, basically. So there's quite a few selections here, and a couple of controversial ones, and a couple that I probably might leave out, maybe, but also a couple that you definitely can't. And we're going to start with those in the left wing position, although potentially both of them could play in a central attacking midfield role. It's Jack Grealish and Phil Foden. Starting with Foden, he's come alive this year. He's become the player that we kind of got little flickers and hints at last season. He had sporadic appearances last season. He looked good. He looked like a little bit of flair, a little bit of fresh air coming out of that Manchester City squad to link up with Kevin De Bruyne. He looked excellent. But this year, he has become a player that I think England can't leave at home now. And they probably can't leave him out of the lineup either. And I think he's going to start pushing big names out of that team. Because Phil Foden needs to be in and amongst the squad. Certainly first choice substitute, instant impact sub definitely, but probably starting in that left wing position. Jack Grealish, on the other hand, is again a huge talent. However, he's been injured a bit more this season. He spent a lot of it on the sidelines. He's only just really coming back from injury. So although he is equally as talented as Phil Foden current ability-wise, I think Foden perhaps can go on to that next level and become a really good player. But Jack Grealish is probably close to his potential now. Jack Grealish definitely gets in the team, in my opinion, and I think he is going to be that substitute that just brings that little bit of extra creativity and flair. I really think that he's going to come on the pitch 70th minute, 65th minute, and he's going to change games. England looking for that goal. He's the guy that can get at you. He's the guy that can push forward. He's going to try and take people on. He's going to produce a little bit of flair. He's going to make that pass, make that cross, make that shot that no one else is going to make. Jack Grealish is going to be really important to this team this summer. Also on the left is Marcus Rashford, Mbe. cannot be left out of anyone's squad, surely. He's fantastic, and not only is he fantastic on the pitch, he's going to be fantastic off it as well. He's an ambassador for English football at the moment. Politics, anti-racism, he's done it all. He's brilliant at it, and he's rightly got an MBE, and he's rightly in this England squad for that very reason, let alone his footballing talent, of which he has acres of footballing talent. He's only 23, which I feel like he's been around for ages now, but 23 years old, he's got years and years left in him. He's only going to get better as well, and I think he needs to be in the team as well. I think I've put him on the left as a left-sided player, but I think he's actually probably second choice striker behind Harry Kane, although we will get on to who has been chosen in that role in a minute. I think Rashford personally would be my choice. If Harry Kane had to drop off, I'd want Rashford there currently. Straight up front, no arguments, it's Harry Kane. Nobody's not picking Harry Kane. Please come to me in the comments and tell me why you're not picking Harry Kane if you're not picking Harry Kane. Because quite frankly, you need to go into a mental asylum, because Harry Kane is one of the best players in the world right now. He topped the goal scoring charts, he topped the assisting charts as well from striker position. Like, what more do you want? What more do you want than a player that can do everything? He can be captain, and I think he may do in some of the games, certainly if Maguire being captain is a bit of a controversial issue, because obviously he had the incident in, I think it was Greece last year with the police. So he was stripped of it briefly and then given it back. And then, so I think Harry Kane could pick up the captain's armband right now. And I think perhaps he should. He's the calmest head on the pitch at any time. He is a big game player. He does it on the pitch when he is needed. And quite frankly, he's the reason why Tottenham even resurged at all this season, because they were dismal at certain points. They're lucky they're in Europe, and the reason they're in Europe is because of Harry Kane, and to a lesser extent, but also because of Heung-min Son as well. Unfortunately, Son isn't English. We can only take Kane. We're taking Kane. Stop arguing. No more discussion needed. Harry, Kane. Now, Kane's understudy is a bit more difficult because there's quite a few players in contention for this role. English players actually did pretty decent in the Premier League goal-scoring charts this season. Certainly we had players like Vardy, who unfortunately is retired from international football, who was right up there. We had Patrick Bamford, who was right up there. I think he's just missed out from Gareth Southgate's point of view, and I think from mine as well. The person that is going to play understudy to Harry Kane is Dominic Calvert-Lewin in both mine and Gareth Southgate's squad. I think Calvert-Lewin is a really good player. I think he's proved that for England when he's come on briefly in the brief fleeting appearances that he's made. He's scored goals. He's got an aerial presence. He's a poacher, whereas Harry Kane is more of a complete forward, to put it in Football Manager terms. I think he will be a good focal point if you play a wider formation. I think Calvert-Lewin can get on the end of the crosses and nod them in. I think he's a good choice. I think I personally rather Rashford played over him. But if Harry Kane's looking a bit tired in the 80th minute, we sub him off, we bring on Calvert-Lewin. I have no problem with that. I'm sure he'll do a great job. Dominic Calvert-Lewin, definitely in my team. Now we move to the right-hand side, and we have 3 players here from Gareth Southgate's point of view. I can only take 2 because I'm running out of positions now. Gareth Southgate's gone for the 3 S's: Sterling, Saka and Sancho. And they're all really, really good players. They're really good. They're going to be really important to England, either now or in the future. But one of them can't stay for me. And unfortunately, that player is going to be Saka. Gareth has him in. I actually wouldn't take him. I think 5 goals and 4 assists in a predominantly winger position for most of the season for Arsenal. Arsenal have been pretty abysmal this season. I mean, they have had a resurgence in the second half of the year. I think they were 3rd if you'd only taken the second half of the season, so they've done okay. But I don't think they've done enough to say, oh, well, he's the best player in the Arsenal team, so he should definitely go. Not in my opinion. I think perhaps you need to look at the rest of that Arsenal team and say that they've not performed rather than he's overperformed, because I think he's done all right. Don't get me wrong. I think Saka, he's 19 years old. He is going to be brilliant for England in the future. He will come to tournaments, probably even the next tournament in 2022. I think he'll be there and he'll be part of that, and perhaps Sterling might end up dropping out. But right now, Saka, I just don't put him ahead of the other two, so I don't think he's going to get any game time, and therefore I'm not going to pick him. Who I'm going to pick is I'm going to pick Sancho. Sancho has been wonderful for Dortmund. Certainly in the second part of the season, he's been a huge part of why Dortmund had a late resurgence and grabbed that Champions League spot that they looked like they were going to miss out on because they had a terrible start to the season. But he's been fantastic. He's got flair, he's got finishing, which Sterling doesn't really have in bucket loads. Sancho definitely does. He can assist, he's unselfish, but then he's also got a trick in him. He can beat a player, take him in on the inside, shoot across. He's very happy to have a shot, which in that position, like the inside right forward position, that's what you want. And I want Sancho in the team, and I probably want him to start as well. And that means my final pick is going to be Raheem Sterling. I just don't think he can miss out. I think he's done really well with Manchester City for the last few seasons, and he's got 14 goals and 12 assists in 49 appearances, which is more than a goal contribution every other game, which is the kind of stats that you need in an England shirt. He's done it for England before. He will do it for England again. I think his pace alone is good enough to get in the team. I think he's brilliant. And I think a lot of the criticism of him is perhaps of his finishing, but he's still got 14 goals this season, which is pretty damn high. It's nearly as many as Dominic Calvert-Lewin in the striker position, who's played most games for Everton this year. I think Raheem Sterling, you'd be pretty silly to leave him out. I really like him, and I get why some people don't, because he's had controversy in the past. He's had weird transfers. The way he left Liverpool was difficult. I imagine there's a lot of Liverpool fans that don't want him to go, but I just don't think you can leave him out. He's been brilliant under Pep. His passing is fantastic. He can pick out a cross. He wins penalties, which is really important because Harry Kane is going to slot those away, and I just don't think you can leave Sterling out. So that's everyone sorted now. That's both me and Gareth Southgate's 26-man squad. Here's the picks together. Look at them now. You can see which ones we agreed on and which ones we disagreed on. And what do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Put down your squad, your 26-man squad, or just the players that you think you'd swap out. I'll comment, have a little discussion with you down below if you want to put those in the comments. But that's my team. So now we're going to take Gareth's squad, the actual squad, and we're going to put it into a lineup that I would like to see start most of the games at Euro 2020/2021. I think it's probably going to look a little something like this. So I've got Henderson in goal. Henderson is going to play over Pickford. I think that's perhaps the only real controversial choice of the back line anyway. I think he is going to be a big part of England's future, and I think I'd like to get him in sooner rather than later because he needs to improve, and the only way he's going to do that is if he gets big games under his belt, and he might not get that at Man United, although after De Gea's antics in the Europa League final, perhaps he will. But I think he needs to start getting game time now, and I think he's probably a better shot stopper than Jordan Pickford. He's not got the distribution quite as much as him, but he's improving. He's certainly better than Pope, who unfortunately missed out. I think Henderson is my pick to start for England in goal. Now onto the back line. I think this one's quite tough. Left back, it could be either of them. It could be Shaw and it could be Chilwell. I don't mind which one. I've gone for Chilwell just because I think he's more likely to get all the way up the pitch. I think Shaw is more of a support left wing back. I think Chilwell's going to get into the penalty area. He might even score a couple of goals. I would have him over Shaw, but honestly, it could be either of them. And if you say that you think Shaw should play, I'm not going to argue with you because I think Shaw's a fantastic player as well. So it's really a 50-50 split on this position. What's not a 50-50 split is the two centre-backs. Maguire, Stones, end of. That's all you need to know. They're the best two. If Maguire isn't fit and we have to drop to a 3-back, then it becomes more of an issue. I think Chilwell and Shaw will still be the players that play on the left, but left centre-back then becomes a bit of an issue, and I'm not sure I'm totally convinced with Tyrone Mings or Connor Cody playing that position. But whatever Gareth Southgate wants, I'm sure he has that scenario in his head that we will go to a 3-back if Maguire is out. And we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes. But as it is, Stones and Maguire in the 2. That's what we're going with. Right back, Kyle Walker. I've gone with him for his defensive capabilities, for his pace, for his attacking capabilities, for his crossing, for everything really. He's all up and down that right-hand side. His endless energy just keeps going. And I think that's what England need at right back. I think he's just going to be a really big part of the team. I think certainly if you have someone like Jadon Sancho or Sterling on that right-hand side, they will cut in. Walker will not. He'll hold wide. And then you keep the width. You keep the other team pushed back. And then if we lose the ball and the ball goes down that attacking left side or the defensive right side for England, then Kyle Walker's going to get back in time. He's probably faster than every player in the world, with the exception of maybe Kylian Mbappe. I can't think of anyone else. Every time I've seen him, he's got that burst of acceleration, zooms right past everyone, gets back. Kyle Walker is who I've gone for at right back. Now onto the midfield. Declan Rice, I already said he was going to start. I already said that's not an argument. He's going to be the holding midfielder. I think you'll then have a central midfielder who will roam a bit more across laterally, a bit of a Mazzala, to put it in Football Manager terms. That will be Jude Bellingham. And then the more attacking midfield role will be Mason Mount. And I don't think you can drop Mason Mount from this team either. I think Bellingham's the only one that you could possibly drop. I think you could possibly drop him for Henderson if he is fit. I don't think he's going to be fully fit. So therefore, I think Bellingham will get game time. So I'm hoping Bellingham will play that role nicely. As I said earlier, I thought perhaps James Ward-Prowse would come and fill that role and Henderson would be left out. But it's not come to pass, and James Ward-Prowse has been left at home. But we have Jude Bellingham, and I think the youngster could really shine in this tournament if he's given the game time. He really could. I think he might get a goal or two. He'll certainly get an assist. He's fantastic. Just someone please tell me why you don't want him in your team, because you're wrong. You're wrong. Jude Bellingham, love it. Great guy. Left wing then, I've gone with Phil Foden, simply because I don't think he would play quite as far back as Mason Mount. He's not got that defensive capability that Mount has over him. I'm not saying Mount is excellent at defending. He's not. He's definitely an attacking player. But Phil Foden is a really good attacking player. He's going to be further up the pitch. He'll probably play left wing. He's done it for City a few times this season, interchangeable with Raheem Sterling, of course. And I think England need him in the team, and they need him or Jack Grealish in the team. And I think Jack Grealish probably offers that super sub a little bit more than he does. I think Foden is a consistent starting player, and he's going to get goals and assists in this tournament if he's allowed to play that left wing role. Right wing then, I've gone with Jadon Sancho, simply because his form is electric right now. He's been fantastic for Dortmund. I've already said why I'd include him in the team, and that's why he's starting ahead of Sterling, because Sterling's form is perhaps not as good. He's not been particularly deadly in front of goal, whereas Sancho will definitely take the chances when they're given to him. I think I want Sancho, and then especially if Bellingham's behind him, you've got that Borussia Dortmund link on that right-hand side. Lovely. Keep that going. Sancho in the team, and Harry Kane up front. I don't think anyone's arguing with it. I've already had a big rant about how Harry Kane's definitely starting in this team. I don't know who I'm ranting to, because everyone else knows it as well. Harry Kane is the best striker in the world right now, with the exception of maybe Robert Lewandowski, who is a fantastic footballer. But I feel like if Harry Kane was in that Bayern Munich shirt, which he might be next season, looks like he might be leaving, maybe, could end up at Bayern Munich. Probably not. But I think if he was in that position at Bayern Munich, he would equally be getting that many goals. Certainly the 30 to 40 range that he hasn't been able to get in the Premier League, he would be if he was getting it in Bayern Munich. And that's not to take away from the German league at all. Basically, I'm just saying that Bayern have better players than Spurs to give him those assists. And I think they're very similar players, Lewandowski and Harry Kane. Lewandowski probably just edges it, to be fair to them. To be fair, he is probably slightly better. But Harry Kane can carry England to glory this, and I really hope he does. So that's my starting 11. That's who I think should be starting. If you have any controversial opinions on that, or you disagree with me, or you disagree with Gareth, please leave your comments in the section below, and I will try and reply to every single one and talk with every single one, have a little bit of a debate, friendly debate. We're all friends here. And then we can talk about our England selection and whether or not we think we're going to win the Euros. So I'm also going to bring out a video in a couple of days' time with my predictions for the Euros. I'm going to run through a tournament tree, see who gets through, see which teams I think are going to get points and get through, and we'll see who wins Euro 2020 in my predictions. So look out for that video coming up in the next few days. That's going to the end of this video. Please leave a like if you enjoyed, and as I say, a comment as well. I'd love to hear your opinions. Obviously, with this being a new channel and a new series, I'd love to hear your opinions on how the video looks, how it sounds, what I can do differently graphics-wise, that kind of thing. I have a sports journalism degree, so I like to think I can do most of those things, even though I'm fairly new at it. So, yeah, leave me comments on how good the video is. If you really thought this was a terrible video, please leave a dislike. Like, that's what the dislike button is there for, if you didn't like it. But make sure you leave a comment on why as well. That would be really helpful. And yeah, like if you enjoyed the video. All my social media is going to be down there as well. Twitter, Instagram, things like that. And of course my Twitch. I'm going to start streaming on Twitch soon. Football Manager, Minecraft, live streams of the reactions to the Euros perhaps. FIFA, first person shooters, all of that kind of thing. And just a general chat and vibe with people in chat over on Twitch. I used to do it, but it's been a long time and I've really missed streaming on Twitch. So come and join me on that, twitch.tv/the_steak_bake. And yeah, well, hopefully see you there, or I'll see you in the next video. Thank you very much for watching, and goodbye.